Hello, Miss Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, and Americans. For example, even on Facebook, other was communicated and recorded than was pretended. As collusion slash S was used remotely, use slash S remotely of names on both sides of criminal and civil cases, and courts themselves, and interbranch themselves, their family members, their sources, the news themselves. Collusion slash S at the same time with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, international companies, criminal enterprises, terrorists. Extremism and radical uses and appreciation of it has been criminally foreign influenced slash worse, while tactically delusions wrong. America's founders, plural, James Madison had declassified for them about why and how. They had to counter extort everyone, at key people at the same time, and force them to become a country. And see, we have that replaced and pretended debatable. And they have rules with the books. That's what that person said. And that's what the camp is. And then they have lawsuits. They already can't have the right outcome in the case. They already can't afford to have discerned just what nature shows us it's about. Why then how there's a witch trials place next to Webb House, now renamed the Webb Stevens Museum. There's on a mass scale, people change and fake, hide what we say. They use what we say to go fishing with it, where the law is not allowed to do that. But the breaching method already showed the names of the people of the law. They already did that. Not alone either. They've been lying about the outcomes of cases with the news, attaching little kids to fake ties to strangers, foreign and domestic, including medical and all ages of their family members, attaching everyone to fake conversations, changed conversations with everyone around themselves. They're putting fake things in databases at campuses filmed 24/7 to pretend people knew each other, to hide how all ages and natures of investigators. Good people use remotely criminally forward influence, tactically delusions wrong. Relative to how they have still other things. They have the things that everyone was forced to say. I have interpretations of it leaving out what our founders communicated for us not to leave out. Why, how there were the subject treatments were forced with the answers left out, with the breaching method left out, the torture, extortion, slavery method that our founders told us to get free enough to speak about that, honestly. We still have the collusions with the differences of guilt of the three branches of government. That's what the witch trial is about. There was entrenched at the same time. No, houses that were already built before our founders were born. This pathology of houses, so to speak, as a tactically denatured identity of the grounds, identity of relationship to itself, to force everyone out to value nature systems, self-value, but tactically ulterior from how nature really wants and longs you to self-value. Not everyone to need water through plastic bottles. Nature's of fake science. The whole ocean's polluted. Many little kids have had means to correlate from suburbs that the kids in the cities aren't free, distinctly from the kids, or the adults. Their minds aren't free. Their vision. Then they have to pretend other. The breaching method shows them, because the breaching method knew that nature would show us. And it shows them how to get away with pretending that. Science spoke for, in other words, you guys have replaced what our founders communicated, declassified. We're not supposed to entertain anyone besides James Madison pretended as one of the unknown founders, as one of the plural founders. The other ones, we don't know their names. We're supposed to understand why and how, because no one had free speech. We're supposed to understand why and how everyone had to pretend other for a list of reasons that were also bound by the breaching method as one of them. But no one would bring that up with those subjects that were forced by internationally monitored conversations, by the standing sense and sensibilities juxtaposed of the other natures of organized crime, tactically distinct but tactically non-distinctly used, by the breaching method singular that only permitted plural roles. So when nature would demonstrate to us and people in the future that one of the things that all those laws were about, as James Madison described, they're all about a breaching method. They're all about a method of measuring and maintaining countries from abroad used remotely in those countries themselves. So what our founders plural did with James Madison, you guys can't even have a debate about this inside the nature of debate slash. And I was next to the World Trade Center towers the morning of the attack. I was in the Ninth Circuit Court as an observer. That court had its identity used remotely from inside it. It was proven afterwards that had right before the World Trade Center attack that morning, the court had presented to themselves legal papers were insidiously from inside the court, timely delivered to the court. Legal papers that had been they changed it, they post dated them. Made it look like they were handed in late. That was proven. And then we went home right before the attack. I didn't find out until after both towers had been attacked. I got home, and I was at Central Connecticut State University at the time. But I was living in Hartford, and increasingly people that have roles with that, with Wethersfield Police Department, and Wethersfield Town offices, and Wethersfield Community Center, and the Wethersfield State Judicial Branch offices and the corrections offices. And Channel 3 News attached me to fake conversations with them themselves about that. And they attached me to fake conversations with my family about that, and with themselves about that, and with others. They pretended me to fake ties to doctors that weren't at all as a kid and as an adult. And as an adult, they both did that and made fake exceptions. Like barely had words at all. Other people, they put whole fake transcripts through the mail to other people, pretend I can't get them on to respond yet. They're using wire mail crime methods and fake transcripts at places with databases, including triages. Harvard Hospital has many people involved with predicate acts on my street and in the parallel streets since I was a kid. Involved with the ones named Cololo and Smith near me. Involved with people plant evidence on all sides of my house, with educators of mine too, and students with conversations behind my back, fake ties, fake nature ties to me, and increasingly my algebra class teacher, and people tied to that class and syntax regarding it, have roles with the World Trade Center attack and Route 3, all along Route 3. They have a whole bunch of other countries and people involved with Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut, and names on all sides of it. Have collusions through time, putting faked intelligence, breached intelligence into databases at countries A through Z. Forgiveness is because where and how we can discern the breaching method. There are collusions. There's collusions, the differences of guilt of the witch trials courts, even if it was made up. Look at the laws that were in place at the time against all women, against Native Americans, against colonists, against every nation of difference. Black pupils, whites of eye, even slavery enforced roles, North and South. And roles that no one could speak up about things unless they were inside internationally monitored conversations. And again, too, the differences of the guilt, because they needed that. It needs everyone to blame that. The overt criminal enterprise, bribe one of the terrorists that it put together to hide behind and through. James Madison, that's what his communications detailed. We have that replaced. Not one that's traced. Please, Tulsi Gabbard. They've been showing faked intelligence, breached intelligence. Their whole careers kept on Facebook and with all ages and natures of campuses. Many with the Brent Spirit Court, Harper Courts have their families and intimate ties. Also, as a bunch of people with Harper Hospital next to it involved with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and private school kids, collusions with public school kids, that with kids that don't even go to class with each other, and the private school kids acting as collusions with people from off campuses, putting predicate acts, fake transcripts, fake ties, fake nature of ties between all ages. Wethersfield campuses have a Michael Emmett further involved with digital crimes and with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and wire mail crimes with the FBI, former director of the FBI, Robert Lusk, and various natures of federal criminals and their family members. There's a Dawn LaConch. I never had a word of conversation with her. They try to make their proofs that they might have taken a picture of me near her because they were sequence shifting, and they have rules with predicate acts and with methods of them. With a girl they abused, one of the girls they abused along Route 3, increasingly a Mr. Neville, and neighbors in different natures of conjunctions to him and his family. My 8th grade class teacher. He has roles all along Route 3, conjunctions to it and to that, like the state judicial branch offices, where with the people involved, putting fake things in databases that confessed and demonstrated, confirmed him involved with that. Also, his students have roles of medical and sexual offenders of kids, including with women and their families. A bunch of people at Hartford Hospital with the mental health care side are interagencies involved with people named Smith and Cololo, also with their patients, involved also as the family members of a bunch of fire departments, people that run into high lipoaggressions, also per the relativity of their collusion / S with uses of their own differences and of other people's. Speaking about jumping into people's conversations dishonestly, we have the people that, oh, that's our job. We go online, we do this. Get the heck down. They have things confirmed about the body dumping spots on Facebook. The British Superior Court has rape threats with Facebook involved with people tied to collusions, forcing more than, but now, but through time, different child abusers leaders first forced. There are more than now. And a lot of them wouldn't be, but good people stay evil because everyone's forcing everyone to speak through others. So no one can tell on the predicate acts method / S. Get me off the fake conversations with the Mendez police, please, Tulsi Gabbard. I never had a word of conversation in my life with that older one, reportedly a brother of an Eric Mendez. I never had a class with Eric Mendez. I only saw him one time real quick on my campus in middle school, and Joe DeMore. The only time I ever saw him real quick, they came into my middle school class and told me about Mike Tyson. And he was making it look like he knew me, the Joe DeMore, with people. And that teacher, Mr. Potter, has rules with the family with the state judicial branch offices. And a Mike Pandolf, too, and a Casper family is increasingly involved with them with sexual and medical offenders of kids. But through good people having others lie about them behind their backs with them. And these are people all along Route 175 from the founding locations, like the Witch Trials Place next to Webb House, now renamed the Webb Stevens Museum. Then and now, sickly distinctly, but sickly non-distinctly, just like all the places across the country, they have other communicated than what James Madison left us to have inseparable from those communications. And with our plural founders, like about why and how not to refer to them as if we know the name of any of them. While it's pretended debatable that James Madison is the only founder that we know the name of, there are people announcing for the breaching method. If anybody's starting to adapt to how it read with James Madison declassified and adapt it, showed everyone to keep self-valid collusion / S with criminally foreign influence / worse. Nope, because this is manifest at countries A through Z. Nature's demonstrations of the breaching method and collusion / S kept forced blamed on other things other than themselves so people could pretend integrity. people could defend, how they were kept only capable of using reason, defenses of it, with syntax nature, criminal insidious nature. I'm not even a lawyer. The names of the people, the sciences stand abridged, abused, and now abuse his role. So, in other words, please get me off the fake conversations with Channel 3 News. WTNH also has fake ties to me with people named O'Neill, involved with people from other countries in Saudi Arabia, but also per hyper foreign that has like with the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with the Wethersfield Police Department, intermilitary too, with people that were planting evidence on all sides of my house, and like a Robert Rodriguez with confessions that he confirmed on Facebook. I never had a word of response to him on my street. I knew that they're trying to put fake ties, fake nature ties to me with people that they have collusions increasingly since the World Trade Center attack. There is a predicate acts with facts method /S that was as inseparable from everything and from that. And from names on all sides of criminal and civil cases, interstates, time collusion /S, the same ones, and their extended family members. You guys have Wethersfield police refusing to get on paper since I was a kid. They faked conversations with me as a kid and as an adult. Only reason I know they bought it as a kid because they put it through the news because they had to hide line progressions tied to that. They have some Mendez brothers, reportedly brothers. They have their family and their educators involved with various natures of organized crimes. And they say, oh, because we're police, we have the right to be able, I'm saying acts, predicate acts, various natures of predicate acts, methods, identity theft, fraud, slanders. These are people involved with that. And with the World Trade Center attack, with the names involved with it, Scalora too, is a name with police forging and switching names with the courts too, refusing to get on paper legitimately. That's all hyper evidential. In other words, I've been asking Judge Napolitano. Fox News also has these people. They have the wire crime acts and methods and natures relative of the people answering the phones of the networks distinctly from the people with the wire crimes with WFSB, Channel 3 News, collusion /S. And the differences of guilt of the intelligence and people there, or the intelligence next to or conjunctive to them, like a police chief Centron, for example. And people tied to a Mark Violet are involved with and others involved with. I never had a class with Mark Violet. These are people that came to my street to make confessions to me and put fake ties to me and fake ties to me behind my back, try to make a fake exception, make it look like I know, oh, but with the time they, like, in other words, I never saw them around school. They tried to make a fake exception a couple times real quick. Is one of the things they do, fake exceptions. As people all along Route 175 from the founding locations, still involved with organized crimes there. And with the differences of guilt of overt criminal enterprises, 5-1 terrorists, all these countries involved with them. People from Korea I never had a word of conversation with. They're proofs that they pretended other. With Middletown. Middletown has a John Maiano also involved with sequence ships and predicate acts methods /S roles that I don't even know if he knows about it. I don't know. In other words, others fake it for him. But we need to get them on paper because they have roles with the people with the names. I don't know their names about. I can't get them on paper. In other words, and they bring up all the names because there's a whole bunch of people into branch, and when they brought up the interbranch of foreign at the same time, and the campuses, there are a whole bunch of people tied to a Michael Emmett involved too. Further with organized crimes, intercities and intra-cities. And with names next to the campuses. WTNH has the FBI collusions with them, with Russians too, named Peruta, with confessions of kids from my class, from my grammar school, and their roles with the people that have been planting evidences with WTNH next to crime scenes and campuses while they're involved with organized crimes and child abuse, The same names that were involved at the same time with that have roles with untimely deaths and murders intercities connected. And as the ones who have World Trade Center predicate acts, collusion slash S roles, intercities, bunch of people with Central Connecticut State University families have roles also interreligious spots where they sequence shifting relative and fake, they're calling hate on their groups and on their, on themselves. And if they don't get a response, they just fake it. Has something to do with their roles next to Fox Connecticut News too, increasingly with people involved with child abusers. And that's in Hartford, Connecticut. And they have roles with people all along Route 3, conjunction to it and to that, like the state judicial branch offices and like Channel 3 News. You guys should, they're not trying to help people. They're putting fake ties between kids and other kids at the same time with overt criminal enterprises kids, private ones, a whole bunch of different countries, but they're leaving those parts out. And their roles with body dumping spots years apart, but timed use slash S for that, various ways recorded too, confirmed. People with the name Pianza will tell you too. They have federal evidence, these kinds of people named Dylan and people on my street involved. I never saw them on my street in my life. And people involved with my fourth grade class with the South Sabiello's house and houses next to the state judicial branch offices involved with them with federal evidence, these crimes. And all along Route 3, in conjunctions to it and to that, with fire departments and people like with these Mendez police. And they said that they're involved also with the people with the building there. And like one of the buildings there, through different owners too, with and these with different natures of child abuse, identity theft, fraud, slanders, and with mayors too. These are mayors, families, people involved with the judicial branch offices, all kinds of identity theft, fraud, slander, sequence shifts too. Interbranch refusing to identify themselves legitimately. Connecticut had roles interstates and internationally with the World Trade Center attack through where and how they were used remotely at campuses A through Z from off them to maintain hyper-additional collusion slash S to keep that hyper-additional collusion that nobody wants and nature's demonstrations of that. Instead, blamed on other things, others ourselves. And our people pretending and being inside the nature of debate are criminally foreign influence, fact cheap nature is criminally foreign influence, fact cheap nature quality aspect in nature slash S per what is much worse. We should call it the hyper criminally foreign influence because it demonstrably forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded names A through Z to blame other things, others ourselves for things that it caused, it keeps. The breaching method that James Madison described about how and why they force these subject treatments. If you want to speak about that, you have to speak about the in women's rights. You have to speak. Well, you want to speak about that. You have to speak about, black, white. We still have black and white voices of leaders speaking. Have the nature debate and have the black and white. And you guys leave out the breaching method. You guys were abused. Please get me off the fake conversations with Channel 3 News about the World Trade Center attack while they have the other natures of organized crimes. Harvard Hospital has a bunch of people involved with planting evidences with a Leahy family, too, and a Lombardo family. That a whole bunch of people came on my street to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm, involved with them. And they put fake conversations with me with this Leahy family at Hartford's triage. And the Harvard Hospital is the Institute of Living, involved with the Leahy family, with various natures of sexual medical offenders of kids and personal and professional roles with judges, prosecutors, and victims advocates with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and with terrorist collusions now, too. Get them on paper and off the fake conversations with me. Get them to apologize to Judge Napolitano, too. And they should not have sold that place, leaving out what I caught them doing. and what I caught them doing with the intelligence next to them, the difference of guilt. A whole bunch of other countries with that spot too.